Hi, we're the James family.
Are you sick of your day-to-day life? Ever thought about doing something different?
Well, we did just that.
We bought an unfinished aluminium catamaran and we're fixing her up as we sail around the world.
Come along for the journey and click subscribe.
Daddy? Mommy? Charlie?
This week, we have woken up to brown water coming out of our freshwater taps. The water in our bladder is clean, and now we are on the hunt to figure out what has gone wrong and fix it.
So we woke up this morning and we've found that the water coming out of our taps is, I don't know if you can see that, but it's kind of an opaque colour. So to me that suggests rust. I've worked on plenty of old ships and some of them that is the colour of the water and that's it. And then we bring bottled water on. So what I did is I changed tanks just in case we got contamination in our tanks. It's still coming out this colour. So we've got plenty of emergency water on board, so we've just opened a bottle of nice fresh water so we can cook and drink from. I've got another 20 litres down the back on top of that as well. And all of our pipework is plastic pipework apart from our accumulator. Now our accumulator is just in underneath here, that red thing, and it is the only thing that's metal. So I'm going to take that apart. What I suggest is it's probably the diaphragm that's in it is probably busted. One quick way to tell usually if the diaphragm is busted is if water comes out of here. So I haven't actually looked at this, but yep, there we go. See, there's water coming out, and that means that the diaphragm inside is either split, torn or broken. So I will swap this. I've got a spare on board. I'll take it apart and show you what the diaphragm looks like and explain how it's happened. Just drain all the pressure out to try and reduce the mess that we're going to have down there. We'll leave that tap on just so that every last little bit of pressure comes out of it. Hey? Oh, I'll need a wrench as well in a minute. Oh, you want to give me the wrench now?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Ah, that's it. Perfect. Oh, that's a nice big one. Do you have a slightly smaller wrench?
Yep.
You do? Okay. Alright. How about a slightly smaller wrench?
Oh, yes.
Thank you, darling.
More?
No, that's good for now. Thank you.
And no, that is not coffee coming out of that accumulator. That is dark brown water.
So this is our accumulator here, and this is the diaphragm that goes inside it. And what's happened is you can see here that it's got a split in the back of it. So the way these work is the diaphragm goes inside here. It has a faceplate on the front that just has some diffusers on the inside there. And what you do is at the back here is a Schrader valve, like out of your bicycle inner tube in that, or your car tire. And you'll look at the manufacturer's specifications for your accumulator and also your cut-in pressure for your pump. And you'll get a bike pump on there and you'll pump it up to a combination of those, whichever one suits. That leaves air in there. The water comes in this side. It compresses the air around the outside. As it fills up, the pump kicks off, then the air expands, the diaphragm squeezes out, squeezes the water out, then the pump kicks back in, compresses the air, and that's how the accumulator works. Now you can see I knew that this was blowing because water came outside the Schrader valve. because the fresh water goes on the inside here and the air goes around the outside. And I also know that this has happened a fair few times in the past, because there's no way this amount of corrosion would have happened in that very short time. So I've got a bit of kill rust back there, which is like a penetrol. I'll put that in here just to try and preserve this as long as possible. I think I may have sourced another diaphragm down out of Brisbane that can get posted up. So he's just double checking that he can get a hold of it and then post it up to us. Then I'll be able to fit this all back together and get the other side going. Also, okay, just to talk a little bit more clearer, if you have your accumulator down there and you find that your pump is short cycling, it could be for several different things, but one of them may be that the air pressure isn't quite the same in the accumulator anymore. So what you'll do is you'll turn your tap on, turn your pump off, let all the pressure out, then you leave your tap on, put the bicycle pump on the back here and pump it up to either the cut-in pressure of your pump, depending on what the manufacturer specifications for this is, as long as it's within its parameters. Then turn your tap off and turn your pump back on. And then you'll have the correct air pressure in here to pressurize against the diaphragm to get your maximum use out of your accumulator. Yeah. Alright, so the saga of the water pump continues. I've made the job bigger and bigger now. So what I believe was happening is the way it was before. This here is where the accumulator was. It was underneath. The water pump was on top. The water pump was in the highest part of the circuit, and it was getting air in between that and the diaphragm. There's a pressure switch in here. So once it reaches a certain pressure, it kicks the pump off. Once the pressure drops below a certain amount, it kicks the pump in. And it was starting to pulsate a bit. And that is what has blown the bag underneath. So then I thought, well, how about we mount them the other way? And I put them the way they should be, with the accumulator above and the pump at the bottom, so that any air bubbles or anything can be worked out of the system. When I was doing that, I was trying to cross over pipe work, and it all just got very, very messy. I thought, well, pumps are meant to pump. They're not really meant to suck. So we're redoing the whole system. I wasn't quite prepared for this job, but it looks like this is what we will be doing. I'm going to relocate the pump down into the bilge there. So I'm running some extra pipe work. I'll put the pump down there. As we've only got one accumulator at the moment, I'll keep the accumulator underneath the sink for now. When I get a new bladder and can repair it, I'll do an accumulator this side and the other side, so we have complete independent systems. So if any part of it does go, we've got redundancies. So yeah, we'll get cracking and yeah, swap it all over and run all the wires and hopefully have it in and have some running water soon.
So some of you may be wondering how we're flushing the toilet if we don't have any water on board, because in a normal house, when you don't have running water, you can't flush the toilet, but we can, and I'll show you why. So if we head down here, this is our bathroom, and we've got salt water. So our toilet is completely salt water. When we fill it up, everything inside is salt water and flushing it. So it's got absolutely nothing to do with our freshwater system. So that's a relief. And this is super awesome. It's an electric toilet. We just press this button. That's our saltwater pump. And it's filling the bowl. And then to flush, we just press the other button and the water goes out. So that's the toilet there. And that's all the water leaving. And super lucky, we can still use the toilet while the freshwater system is being worked on. Also, there's no need to worry. We're not dying of dehydration or anything. So we've got right now 20 liters of emergency water on board. So that's this one here. And this is what we're filling up the sink with, the water bottles and everything. So while we're on the east coast of Australia and fresh water and marinas and the public wharfs are super easy to get to, we're carrying 20 extra liters of water. So that's what we're using right now is our emergency water. But when we go overseas, we do have 4 containers, 20 liters each. So we'll have 80 liters of emergency water. But yeah, we're not dying of dehydration or anything, and the toilet's working just fine. So we're both pretty happy, and all the modifications that Sam is making are gonna make a world of a difference. So we're both super excited, and yeah, I'm gonna get going and do some dishes right now. So fill up the sink.
I've almost completed the starboard side here. You can see that there is our spare accumulator, and the pump is located down there, and it's on a brace board just so there's no contact with the hull. There's a bit of an isolator, and I've rerun the wiring from the switchboard to come down to this pump. So it's not at the lowest point, but it is fairly level. You can see this is our bag here. I did spill a bit of water down into the bilge, so what I've done is I've poured some hot water down there. Hot water is really good at breaking up all the salt, and then I've vacuumed it all out. And to fit these in here, all I've done is run a bead of silicone just to hold them in there for 2 main reasons. 1, it's easier to break off. 2, I had it on board. And what our plan is these senders here. One of them is a depth sounder, and there's another one underneath the pump at the back here, and it's a speed log, and neither one really work, so they're going to need to be replaced at some point as well. This here is the bracing for our dagger board casing, which is over the side there in the central point. And I have another project on the go shortly, which will be dealing with these bags. What I've found is that they don't seem to empty completely, and we're not really cycling our water supply very well, and when they do get full, they push up against the floor and everything starts cracking and sounding horrible. So we're going to look at fiberglassing them in and making a tank in underneath there. I just got to get some silicone now to seal up the timber. Because I've drilled through there, we don't want any moisture getting into the timber, so I'm just going to seal it all up either side with a heap of silicone to try and deter any kind of moisture that might get into the timber, because I have broken where it has been painted. And yeah, next step is to do the same to the other side and get it all ready to go and just wait for the accumulator.
And just like that, we have running water again. Now we wait for the new bladder to arrive for the accumulator on the port side. Thank you so much for watching. If you are enjoying our videos and would like to help support us making videos and content, consider becoming a Patreon. The link is in the description below. And don't forget to click those like and subscribe buttons, and we will see you all next week.